For the second year in a row, the legislature did not complete its work on time. Today is day 60, the scheduled last day of the 2026 Florida legislative session. The legislature will adjourn sometime today, but they are not finished. Familiar tensions arose during this session as lawmakers could not produce a new state budget. That means the legislature will have to come back to the state capitol for a special session later this spring to finish the job. From disagreements over tax relief to emergency action to protect access to life-saving medication, here are 6 major developments from week 9 of the legislative session that could have a real impact on Florida taxpayers. I'm Florida's 17th Lieutenant Governor Jeff Kottkamp, President and CEO of Florida TaxWatch, Florida's leading government watchdog and public policy think tank. Senate President Ben Albritton announced Thursday the legislators will return in mid-April after the Easter and Passover holidays to continue negotiations for the budget. The core problem is that the House and Senate still have not agreed on budget allocations, the total amount of funding dedicated to each major policy area. Until those numbers are finalized, budget negotiations cannot move forward. The tension between the chambers also slowed down the overall legislative process. As of Thursday, lawmakers had passed 114 general bills, far below the 5-year average of 249 bills per session. Many high-profile proposals did not make it across the finish line this session, including property taxes, an artificial intelligence bill of rights, expanding parents' ability to opt out of vaccines, the Rural Renaissance Initiative, proposed changes to school choice scholarships, and several health and education reforms. While fewer bills passing is not necessarily negative, it highlights how significant policy debates remained unresolved this year. Despite the unfinished budget and unresolved policy debates, several bills supported by Florida TaxWatch research are headed to the governor's desk. These include local government spending transparency. HB 1329 increases transparency in city and county budgets and requires local governments to conduct a 10% budget cutting exercise before adopting their final budget. Senate Bill 1690 creates the Florida Child Care Fund, aimed at expanding access to early learning and child care. Senate Bill 302 establishes a statewide design standard and permitting process for nature-based coastal resilience projects. Senate Bill 428 expands eligibility for the swimming lesson voucher program. Senate Bill 1028 creates additional clearinghouses to help move policies out of citizen property insurance and into the private market. This week, lawmakers also made a major decision on corporate taxes. Typically, Florida adopts changes to the federal corporate income tax code, which simplifies compliance for both businesses and the state. However, adopting all provisions from the federal One Big Beautiful Bill, known as OBBB, would have reduced Florida's state revenue by $3.5 billion. To avoid this impact, the legislature voted to decouple from the federal changes. That means Florida companies will not receive those federal tax benefits on their state tax returns, and businesses will face additional compliance requirements. Another major question heading into the budget conference was tax relief for Florida residents and businesses. The House and Senate had proposed very different plans. The Senate package totaled about $79 million in tax relief. The House proposal was significantly larger at $249 million. Normally, those differences would be negotiated during budget conference discussions. But now, with the budget unfinished, both tax packages were stripped of their tax provisions, which means neither the House nor the Senate have tax packages, and it remains unclear whether tax relief will ultimately be included when lawmakers return. The legislature may be adjourned for now, but the session is far from over. Lawmakers will return in mid-April to finalize the state budget and potentially resolve outstanding policy issues. Florida TaxWatch will continue tracking the developments that matter most to Florida taxpayers. For more information on the legislative session, be sure to go to floridataxwatch.org and stay tuned for additional updates when the legislature returns to the state capitol to finish the budget.